Hello, welcome to our virtual training workshop of 21 days of effective communication. Today is our sixth day of this fantastic training, and our topic is What Your Pronouns. Now, let's start with the name of Almighty Allah, the most gracious and the most merciful. In today's lecture, we are going to draw your attention to your pronouns. It means that we tend you to know that how people feel when one uses I frequently during their conversation. This training will also help us to realize that we should not bore them and end our talk when people are not in the mood to listen to us. Along with the useful practices and some valuable suggestions that will help you to change your conversation approach. Usually, in every conversation, you have to require two or more than two conversation partners. Or, in other words, every conversation required a conversation partner. It is a basic principle of conversation that your conversation should be reasoned, comprehensive, and attractive, so that your style should be effective and inclusive, that no one get bored of it. Always pay special attention to your dignity during the conversation. There is no point in getting your views across if no one is going to be listening to them anyway. It means if someone doesn't want to listen to you or express some boredom, then it is best for you to stop your conversation. It's not bad to talk about yourself, rather, it's very normal. Let's suppose if you were to ask to some average person whether they enjoy talking about themselves and listening to the sound of their own voice, they would probably say, "Me? No, of course not." But this is not true. Let's get real. Most of us love talking about ourselves. In moderation, that's perfectly okay. You are living your own life. So it's natural that you find your own experiences fascinating. In addition, people who never reveal anything about themselves are not perceived as trustworthy. The best communicators know how to balance self-disclosure with respect to other people. Sometimes you meet a person who frequently uses the word I in his conversation. You may find it very strange, but there are people who seems to really enjoy talking about him or herself. Maybe you think that he is not a normal person, or the chorus of I and me might convince us that we are conversing with a classic narcissist. But it's not true, as researchers believe that people who talk a lot about themselves are not narcissists. Instead, those who say I and me a lot of time may be prone to depression, anxiety, and other negative emotions. In 1988, a fascinating research study carried out at the University of California found a link between narcissism and the number of times a person used I during a 5-minute speech. The subject of this study were 24 men and 24 women, and they were allowed to speak on any topic of their own choice. Then their speeches were recorded, and the researchers then counted the number of times each person used first person pronouns. The participants who achieved higher scores on measures of narcissism tended to use I more often. So does this mean that I talk is a reliable indicator of narcissism? But it's not true. Later researches have shown that there actually no relationship between the two. As a research was conducted in 2015 at the University of Arizona, found that frequent use of first person singular pronouns I me, and my is not in fact an indicator of narcissism. Instead, psychologists think that so called I talk may signal that someone is prone to emotional distress. According to a new study, which also validates this belief, although psychologists disagree on whether I talk is really related to narcissism, the average layperson picks up on it. They establish a greater connection between high level of I talk and a psychological disposition of negative emotionality in general. Negative emotionality refers to a tendency to easily become upset or emotionally distressed, whether that means experiencing depression, anxiety, worry, tension, anger, or other negative emotions. In other words, a psychologist might realize that I talk doesn't necessarily mean you are narcissistic, but most other people will. What does this mean for those of us who want to make a good impression that they have to abandon this habit? We can conclude this conversation by saying that it is better to avoid excess of I talk. No doubt that too much I talk will not endear you to anyone, but sometimes it seems the best approach. Here we discuss when you should use it. I draws a firm line between you and someone else. If you are standing up for your rights, it helps you to permitting the state exactly how the situation make you feel. Let's suppose that your partners fail to do their fair share of household responsibilities. Instead of listening their faults in an aggressive manner and telling them that they need to change immediately, it would be more effective to use I talk to explain how their actions have made you feel. Someone can argue with your interpretation of their actions, but they can't argue with your own feelings. I statements are less inflammatory than accusations beginning with you. To continue with the above example, it would be better to say, I feel undervalued when I come home to find that you have not cleaned the kitchen after you promised to do so. Then you don't do anything and the house is a complete mess. If you are talking about a sensitive topic such as religion or politics, it's a good idea to communicate with everyone listening that you can tolerate other people's opinion. Your views are your own and do not represent those of everyone else. To avoid appearing rude, do not represent your opinion as fact, always preface it with an I. Countless arguments could be prevented if only people took a second to acknowledge that not everyone feels the way they do and that differences are okay. In most cases, it's to your advantage to work with others when coming up with a plan or new idea. You will be more popular if you are willing to work as part of a team. However, sometimes it's better to establish that you alone deserve the credit. For example, if you are aiming for a promotion at work and your manager values self sufficiency, use I when talking about your ideas. The word we instantly invokes up a feeling of solidarity. We talk emphasizes similarities and common experiences, which generates a sense of intimacy. You can do this in such a subtle way that no one will notice. You don't have to change the meaning of what you say, but you have to simply make a few minor adjustments. Look at the examples to see how this works. In the first example, the line states, I think the meeting starts at 3. It means that the meeting time is 3. When after some adjustment the line become we have to be at the meeting room by 3, right? This line tells that someone suggests you that you have to be at meeting room by 3. In second example, the line states, I remember the summer of 2012. It was really hot. This line tells that someone remembering the summer of 2012, which was very hot. Uh, After some adjustment, this line becomes we had a really hot summer in 2012, which tells that that you experience a hot summer in 2012. In the third example, the line states, I think that house will be too expensive. This line tells that you are searching the house which was very expensive. Now, after some adjustment, the line becomes we need to find out whether that house will be too expensive. This line tells that you have to find out whether this house is expensive or not. In all these examples, you can easily see that after some minor adjustment, although the meanings are the same, but the style of this speech are totally changed. Now we have some interesting exercises which help us to enhance our conversation. Exercise 1. Today you are going to count the number of eyes you use. Don't worry if you start to lose track. It's not necessary to cut I out completely. Just challenge yourself to remain aware of what you are saying. For second exercise, sit in on a conversation and monitor the number of times each party start a sentence with I. Keep two running tallies for a few minutes, one for each individual. Note that are the numbers roughly even? Do they both seem happy with the way the conversation flows? This exercise works particularly well if you can observe two strangers because you won't have any preconceptions about their personalities or the events they are discussing. Whenever you tried it, you usually notice that one person uses a lot of I talk, their conversation partner will start to sound bored. Bear this in mind the next time you catch yourself saying I. Thank you very much. Here we finish this lecture on how to watch our pronouns and how to change your conversation style from I talk to we talk. We hope that you enjoyed much and learned a lot of new things with us. We are waiting for your valuable feedback. Keep watching our YouTube channel. For more upcoming trainings and lectures, please subscribe our YouTube channel.